Hi everyone, in the last episode we talked about how to book your first paid client. If you haven't checked that, click here to watch. In that video I mentioned that one of the great ways to start before jumping to a paid client is to ask your friends to let you capture their family photos for free. That way you can build confidence in your portfolio as well. So after you watch that and you have asked around, and one of your amazing friends accept the challenge and put their trust in your hands, well, not like a life or death situation, but you got the point. So now it's time to set your camera settings right so you can capture the session with pride and make epic images. Welcome back guys, this is Rafa and I have been shooting families photos for some time. That's not right. I always feel that it's so weird saying that I shoot families. That sounds weird. I think I should use a different term. Welcome back guys, this is Rafa and I have been capturing family photos for some time. Yeah, that's better. Okay, you have talked to your friend/client explaining your vision for the session. You set up a time, a location, went over wardrobe and all that. By the way, I'll have a whole episode on all the communication with your client prior to the shoot. That is going to help them and you for a successful session. Click on the notification bell down below so you can stay tuned and don't miss any episode. Okay, let's get to the chase and dive into the camera settings. So I have my Canon camera here with this cable on it so you guys can see my menu and exactly how I set up things. By the way, if you have a different camera brand, that's okay. The buttons and terms might be different, but most mirrorless cameras have the same settings that we're going to talk here today. So first thing first, always have fully charged battery and formatted card before start your photo session. I have an episode on gear that we talk about all that. Okay, let's put the camera here on the tripod so we can actually see our little friend, Dr. Brown from, you guys know, right? Back to the Future. And Dr. Brown is going to help us. And he looks so cool, right? So Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies of all time. Sorry, back on track. So here's my camera settings, and this is exactly how I set most of my lifestyle family sessions. Let's start from the top, driving mode. I presume you already know the difference between all driving modes, but if you don't, you can either leave me a comment below and I'll answer it back, or search online, there are many info out there on that. I always set my camera on manual because I want to have full control of the camera. I don't like when the camera judges what she thinks what is right or wrong. So there's nothing better than our own eye, okay? But I understand that manual mode might be challenging in the beginning, but trust me, once you force yourself to understand, it will be very easy and it will save you from some headaches. Okay, so next is AF mode, which is the focus method. So you can use manual focus or autofocus with a few extra flavors. Most mirrorless cameras out there will have this flavor such as face priority, and you have the enable for the eye, and then you have the eye. You see that I changed the face to the eye? Now it's gonna be eye priority. So focus on the eye. Pretty much the difference is when you're shooting, for example, a family, if they're doing a lot of motion and turning around, you kind of lose the eye. So in that case, keep face priority because it kind of focus better. Because sometimes if you set eye and the person are like turning around and moving the eyes away from the camera start kind of hunting for focus and might lose that focus. If they're just sitting there and looking to the camera or looking to each other where you can see clearly the eyes, just keep an eye detection because then you're gonna go sharp straight to the eyes, and that's what I like to do. And then you also can have the 1-point AF, which pretty much when you don't have a face or an eye to the camera recognize where the focus is. For example, someone holding hands, and then you can just focus on the 1 point, focus on the hand and take a snap, and that's gonna be in focus. Because if you have face detection or eye detection, they're gonna try to find faces and eyes, and if you're shooting something else besides the face, the camera might be like hunting for focus. So in most cases, I leave as a face priority might be the best since the camera can do a very good job recognizing where a face is. I will have further episodes where I will be on location shooting, capturing a family session and showing you in the real time all these settings that we're talking here. Next is gonna be the AF operation. AF operation is either one shot or servo. I typically use servo autofocus mode when I'm photographing moving subjects because it continuously tracks and adjusts focus to keep the subject sharp as it moves. The one-shot mode, on the other hand, is ideal for stationary subjects. I probably shoot 90% of the time in servo mode. Okay, now comes the game changer tip. Are you guys ready? Not many people know this, but there is a setting called back focus button. Most cameras comes out of the factory with the focus mirroring assigned with the shutter button. So when, for example, when you half press the camera will focus and then you click all the way in order to take a picture. However, for fast moving subjects, that is not ideal, but you can assign the focus metering to a different button, like behind the camera. It's like having lightning fast autofocus at your fingertips, so you never miss those priceless moments. The reason to do that is to gain more control. By using the back button focus across all your shots, you develop a more reliable focusing technique. This leads to more consistent and sharper photos, even in challenging shooting conditions. Also, with focus separated from the shutter trigger, you experience reduced shutter lag. This means your camera can fire off more rapidly, allowing you to capture multiple frames without delay. And here's how you assign it, okay guys? Go to the menu, customize buttons, and then you see here's actually, you see the highlights, the buttons on the camera. So this is where we have our mirroring and AF start. So here's when you press the shutter, halfway you focus, and then you click all the way and you snap the shot. So we're gonna change that to metering start only. So right now it doesn't focus if you press the shutter trigger right here, okay guys? It doesn't focus. So now you have to do is go to a button on the back. You can choose whatever you want, but I kind of like this one right here, and I already set that. So you see I changed to mirroring and AF start. So what happened, guys, with my thumb here, I press AF right here, the camera focus, and then I press the shutter. You see? So if he moves, the focus try to hunt him all the time as I don't leave the button. As I move the subject, the camera is still focusing on it because I have the back button pressed, and when I feel ready to do the shot, I just snap the shot. So that will be very helpful for you guys. Trust me, once you try it out, you wonder how you ever live without it. Okay, next one, driving mode. In the beginning, I'll suggest keeping on the highest because you might get one great shot of a 10. So it's better capturing more so you can later in post see which one it was the best. I know we end up with a lot of images, but that is for your own good, especially because we can't trust only looking at the back of LCD. Sometimes we check a photo and we believe it's sharp because the screen is so small, but when we actually see in the computer, it's where we kind of find those mistakes. It's not so sharp and things like that. So don't be afraid of shooting a lot. Also, the highest one helps those super fast moments with the kids jumping or hair movement, water splashing, and so on. Now let's go to mirroring mode. That helps you control how your camera measures lights to determine the exposure for your photos or videos. Evaluate metering considers the entire scene. Partial metering focuses on a specific area, and center weight metering prioritizes the center of the frame. Each mode suits different shooting situations, but in your case, we'll leave on evaluate metering. Anti-flicker, we are not touching on that since we'll be shooting on natural light. Now we have RAW. I presume you'll be shooting RAW, right? There's no point of not. Some photographers like to have RAW plus JPEGs, but honestly, I only do that in the case of commercial shoots where we need to send smaller files to the client for approval before editing. Alright, now we're moving to white balance. I always keep my white balance on Kelvins, and I'll explain you in a bit. So there's auto white balance. Try and never use that because the problem with that is you're gonna have more headaches in post editing your photos. What happened is you're shooting a family in one spot, which there's a lot of trees and there's a lot of shade. So the camera on the auto white balance, you're gonna try to measure that and tells what color should be there. So it's gonna be warmer or cooler, right? But then when you start shooting in a different spot at the location, which is more sun and bright, then the camera will try to adjust the white balance. And then what happens is in post, when you see a photo side by side with one location to another one, they have different colors. One is cooler, another one is warmer. So I try to keep my photos always in the same white balance because it's easier to kind of match in post. And I like my photos a little bit warmer, so I keep between 55 to 6000. Okay, color profile. If you're shooting RAW, it doesn't really matter what picture profile you set on camera because you can change that in post. However, setting a particular one can help you how you see things in the back of the LCD. You can judge contrast, sharpness, and other things better. Then we have light optimization, which helps optimize the overall brightness and contrast of your images. It can be particularly useful in high contrast situations where you want to preserve details, for example, both in bright and dark areas of the image. Finally, but not the least, the shutter speed, which I always keep in between 800 and 1000 per second, but depending on light conditions, you might need to adjust that. The aperture is also one that will be changing as you taste and what you want to keep in focus. And then ISO, which I'll keep as a minimum as possible, but eventually we need to bring that up when you start losing daylight. You will always be changing values on these three: shutter, aperture, and ISO. In terms of the exposure mirroring or level indicator, so when you push for focus, it will show with that bar below if your image is under or overexposed. I usually like to keep a bit underexposed because it's easier to recover details in the shadows than in the highlights. That's it. Now you have your camera all pumped with the right settings to start capturing family sessions. I hope this was valuable information and that helps you in your next photo session. Enjoy your day and I will see you next time. Peace.
Great Scott, that was amazing tips. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up if you like it. See you guys in the future.